Hello and welcome, Golden Era here with your Golden Wrestling Convo, doing something new today. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. If you're anything like me, you watch a lot of videos on YouTube as well. And I noticed that a lot of channels seem to just be gameplay videos with commentary over them. Now the commentary doesn't have to be about the videos, but just random conversations over gameplay. So what I did here is I had this match with Shibata and Shinsuke Nakamura. Very young Nakamura, obviously. This game was released around 2004, I believe. Um, and I wanted to talk about pro wrestling. I figured it makes sense, have a match going on in the background as I discussed pro wrestling. Specifically, I wanted to talk about how good last week was for pro wrestling. If you're a diehard fan like myself who actually watches wrestling for the wrestling, I enjoy the entertainment of it as well, but I mostly enjoy just hard hitting, good storytelling in ring, and just pro wrestling. I enjoy watching pro wrestling. I admire the athleticism and the punishment these men and women take. And last week was a really, really good week for pro wrestling. It started off on a Sunday, I believe, in New Japan. They had an event called Kizuna Road. And we had Katsuyori Shibata versus Toyoshiki. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure. I don't know, Hanma versus Hanma. And if anybody knows anything about Hanma, he used to be a really hardcore pro wrestler. His whole body's covered in scars. But now that he's in New Japan, he has to work a very, very insane and intense style, and that's that all he does is headbutts. And if you know pro wrestling, if you've seen headbutts, it's like the one thing you can't really, fake. There's a number of things that aren't really fake. You know what I mean? The punches are pulled, but they're still punches. You know what I mean? But Hanma, he just hits people with his head. That has to hurt. And him and Shibata beat the fuck out of each other. I stayed up early till about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 in the morning to watch it streamed live. And before I hear any bullshit, in a few weeks I will have enjoyed PW World. I'm very excited for that. First thing I'm going to do is watch the North Korea show, by the way. If anybody doesn't know, WCW and New Japan had a show in North Korea. That's right, that North Korea. And I really want to watch it. The card looked really good. But what I'm most interested in is I want to look at the fans. I want to see how North Koreans take to pro wrestling. And I hope that New Japan World has it in HD because I really want to see that card. I want to see North Korean citizens and how they react to pro wrestling. The card was stacked, but I'm getting off what I was originally going on about. So yeah, Shibata and Hanma beat the shit out of each other. Match of the year candidate. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you try to find a torrent or a stream of it. Maybe it's on Daily Motion by now. Amazing match. Match of the year candidate, in my opinion, Katsuri Shibata versus Hanma. I want to rate it a 5. Like my idiot, stupid idiot. That's sorry, hysterical. My immediate reaction was to rate it a 5, but when I discussed it with the chat, which is another reason why I love staying up late, is because you get to discuss the wrestling with the chat. A lot of the chat thought it was like around a 4.25 or lower. I even had somebody in the chat. There was somebody in the chat. I didn't have him, but there was somebody in the chat that gave it a 1 star. I'm not sure if that was a joke or not. But it is difficult to rate a match like Hanma versus Shibata because Hanma really hurt himself with those headbutts, and you have to wonder if that's even necessary in pro wrestling anymore. You know what I mean? We know the type of effects headbutts can have now. Daniel Bryan had to retire early. Dynamite Kid was in a wheelchair for most of his late life, and of course, the murder-suicide. So doing the falling headbutts and doing the headbutts is something that I would rather see less of. So although I do think the match deserves a 5 star because it was brutal, it was amazing, and I was intrigued into the entire match, I would probably give it a 4.75, just because I would rather do without the headbutts. I'm interested to see what Meltzer gives it, because he really enjoys Hanma, and the match at Kizuna Road between Shibata and Hanma was very reminiscent to the match between Ishii and Shibata. And he gave Ishii versus Shibata a 5 at the G1 Climax, but he didn't give him a 5 at Wrestle Kingdom. But definitely, if you haven't seen Ishii versus, no, not Ishii, if you haven't seen Shibata versus Hanma from Kizuna Road this year, I highly recommend it. Match of the Year candidate. So that was the weekend. I think that was Sunday morning. And then Monday, I'm talking about last week, by the way. I'm sorry I didn't upload this earlier, but I've been busy. Monday, we had that Raw with the fucking, 4th of July shit. That, I mean, it doesn't count. It's a United States company, and it's the 4th of July. So obviously they're going to do, some patriotic stuff. I'm not mad at that. It was good for what it was. The kids had fun, so fuck it. It's fine. It's fine. And then Tuesday we had Final Deletion, which was like a motherfucking college project. That's the best way I could describe it. It looked like a college project. It was very badly done. In fact, I think kids in college would probably do a better job than that shit. See NXT for proof of that. But yeah, it was really badly done. But a lot of wrestling fans enjoyed it, and I'm not going to rag on them for enjoying it. It was fun. If you saw my reaction, I did laugh a few times, so I can't really say it was really bad. I can't give it a negative, but I wouldn't really rate it something high either. Probably around a 2.75 for Final Deletion, but it got the internet buzzing, and it was fun for some. It had its moments where it made me laugh as well. So, it was fairly good. And then Wednesday, on NXT, the Revival and American Alpha put on a near classic. It was an amazing match. If you have not seen their work and what they've been doing, the storytelling that the Revival and American Alpha have been doing has been astronomical. It's really, really good stuff. Each match building off the other, and just an amazing match. Props to those guys down in Florida for really bringing it this Wednesday on NXT. I actually, initially, when I was done watching the match, I gave it a 4.99, which is the first time I've ever rated anything that. I thought it was fantastic. I couldn't give it a 5 because it didn't feel like a 5. And there were some spots, but I'm not going to call them out because they were very minor and it's nothing major. But there was a spot where I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. And then, of course, the big news on Saturday, Brock Lesnar defeated Mark Hunt, going into UFC and defeating a top 10 heavyweight, really bringing credibility back to pro wrestling. Because you can say it's fake, you can say it's not real all you want, but these are genuine tough guys. These are genuine badasses. And Brock Lesnar proved that. After taking a 4 or 5 year hiatus, or however long it was, to go back to the UFC and beat a top 10 talent, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. I got an 88. I can't seem to get 100% on NJPW. It really pisses me off. I'll probably try again with somebody else. But yeah, I can't seem to figure out what they like. I thought that match was great, but NJPW fans. But yeah, props to Brock. Great fight. It's a hell of a year to be a pro wrestling fan. Thank you for watching.